If you love planning or journaling, then chances are very high that a Louise Carmen has popped up onto your feed. These journals are stunning and you can customize them completely, not only by choosing the color of your cover, but the color of your elastic bands, your charms, the things that you put inside of it, the notebooks. Like, this whole system is so customizable, and Louise Carmen really sells a whole experience. And that does mean it comes with a bit of a price tag, especially if you are like me trying to order this online internationally. Like, just the shipping to Canada makes my brain hurt. So I opted instead at the beginning of the year to get Paper Republic journals. These are so beautiful as well. I cannot recommend Paper Republic enough. And if you by chance are local to Toronto, then know that there are local stores that sell these, so you don't actually have to pay as much for shipping. This one just makes me happy whenever I look at it. I still have not gotten over the honeymoon glow with this. However, I've always wanted a trifold version of these journals in my collection, and instead of buying one, I thought, let me try DIYing one instead. So that's what I'm doing with you today. I'm gonna make my own Louise Carmen style journal for the first time on camera. I've watched enough people DIY this themselves. I feel like I am capable of doing it. Will it be as perfect as what you can buy from companies? Probably not, because I have no leather working experience, but I think I don't need too much leather experience to get the passable outcome that will make me happy, and will also mean that I can make some really beautiful gifts, especially with the holiday season coming up. But even, you know, long term, I can make journals for people that I think will really value them at a fraction of the cost, which is a nice benefit, but it'll still be a beautiful keepsake that they can have forever. So I'm very pumped. I'm also slightly nervous because I don't want to mess up. I want to try and minimize the mess ups. I'm also going to be as detailed as possible with my links below of like what I'm using, so that you don't have any question marks about where I got this, what specific sizes I'm using for everything. I want it to be as clear as possible, because I did find myself sometimes having to go to multiple people to kind of figure certain questions out. Anyways, we're gonna try this. The first thing I had to purchase was the leather, and I was lucky enough to find a lot of options actually here locally in Toronto. So I highly recommend looking locally around you to see who sells leather. I looked online and found this one company that sold vegetable tanned leather from Italy, which I was looking for vegetable tan because that's what I heard people tell me to look for. And also I wanted it to patina. So this leather that I have in here will patina just like my Paper Republic. To make one A5 size journal, you probably only need 2 square feet of leather. So it's not like a terrible amount of leather, but I did overbuy because, like I said, I want to make these into gifts. And I lucked out by finding a sale on one colorway in this leather. Now you're probably wondering, what color did I choose? Ta-da! It looks black, but it's not, ladies and gents. It is navy. All of this leather though only cost me before tax $100 Canadian. So if you shop around, you can get a good deal, because $100 Canadian is a fraction of what I'd pay for one journal. This is 8.5 square feet, which I think it at minimum would make me 4 full-size A5s and like probably a couple pockets. If I was just doing pockets, there'd be a lot of pockets I could do with this. I do want to make sure that there's not a lot of waste involved in this process. So finding something that was neutral was really important to me, because I want to make sure I maximize this leather to its fullest potential. That's really important to me. So at this point, I've cut my leather just so that it's more manageable to work with. And I also got this template from the Old Pink House. This is a free template, and I want to shout out to the creator of this template, because so many templates online were charging on Etsy, and they provided this for free. So essentially this is going to be my journal space, and then this is how my journal is going to fold. This is already a straight edge, so I don't need to cut there. So it makes most sense to align my template with the straight edge so that I only have to do 1 big cut and 2 smaller cuts. I'm going to try marking this. Don't want my template to move too much. Oh, I'm nervous. I'm nervous for this part. 3.3. 3.3. The only thing left to do is to cut, Caitlin. I just need to make sure this stays straight. Did not cut that fully. Uh-oh, I'm so nervous. This is very stressful. Really thought this was gonna be simpler. Okay, whew, that was stressful. I do have some marks there, not a big deal. That was the one I was most concerned about. I've got a little bit more wiggle room with these cuts in case I do make a mistake. I've cut 1, 2, and 3, so I just need to cut this edge. Okay, guys, We got a leather piece. Holy guacamole. I did it. We've cut out our template and we're essentially gonna do one of these and one of these. That was stressful. Very, very stressful. Now I do wanna round the corners like the template does, but I don't think I'm gonna use the template exactly. My original plan was just to use a leather punch tool like this. And I thought someone who did this said that they bought a 20mm rounded leather punch, which is what I bought here, but I should have known in store that it was way too narrow. But what I'm gonna do is actually cut these out by hand. I do have a paper rounder edger. So for example, if I were to put a piece of paper in there, it's a sharp edge, and then it becomes a rounded edge. Sharp, round. And I feel like that's gonna be a good curve for mine. This does not punch through leather, but what it does do is make one hell of an imprint. So I'm just gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, little imprint of a curve there. And I'm gonna just try and follow it. Rounded edge number 1. Again, into my corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that one, even better. Use a nail file though to clean it up. This is working. Another thing I've seen people do to kind of like get rid of this fuzziness on the edges is take a lighter and just use it to smooth it out. So now I've cut out my leather, I've rounded my edges, I need to cut out some holes. Now, especially when I'm punching out these holes, I wanna make sure this paper isn't moving. So I'm gonna use some masking tape to adhere this to my journal because I do not want any surprises. On my Paper Republic, it is just straight up holes. There's no grommets here, but on the Louise Carmen, they add these grommets to the holes to reinforce them. So we're gonna do that for this one. I bought this kit that came with grommets, a leather punch for the hole, and a grommet, I guess setter is the word I'm gonna use here, from Amazon. So this kit will be linked down below. I'm using 2mm grommets. And I'm gonna use this little mini hammer that I've had for years, but you can use a regular hammer, a mallet, whatever you wanna do. I think, I don't know, I say as if I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna start with my center one. These have punched through. Yeah, we did. Okay, another time. This part's a lot less intimidating because of the template. A little bit of a loud task to do with neighbors, but alas. Now I'm gonna take off the tape. We've got all our holes, so now it's time to add the grommets. I'm gonna go with gold grommets because I think that goes really nicely with navy. I'm gonna flip over my project, and from the leather side, I'm gonna add in the grommets so that the fat circular part is sticking out. In the hole it goes. Oh my gosh. It's looking legit, guys. Holy guacamole. I've been waiting to do this project on camera for the last few days, and I feel kind of like it's Christmas morning. It feels really cool to be able to do this. So the reason I've read that you reinforce these with grommets is just so that as the leather wears, that hole doesn't expand. So this kind of prevents that from happening. There's number 1. At this point of the project, I should note that I feel the most comfortable. I feel like the hardest part for me was just getting the leather cut. So now I basically have to put my little setter below and line it up with my grommet thing, and we're gonna do some more hammering. So I'm gonna try and do this quickly so that my neighbors don't absolutely flip out at me. I have finished hammering in all my grommets. This is how it's supposed to be oriented. Now I need to add my elastic cords. I picked up this elastic cord set from Michaels, so it's pretty inexpensive, and there's quite a few colors in here. The real question for me is like, which one do I choose? I love all of them, honestly. That's why I got this set, because I think all of these match really well with navy. Like the pink is really fun for a pop. The green is really nice for a pop. Gray is definitely more neutral. Cream is different. Orange and navy, beautiful. A light blue with navy, that's also gorgeous. These are all just so pretty. And then I also got some charms from Michaels. Michaels is a really great place to get these supplies because you can use their 40% coupon or whatever coupon they have. They always have coupons. So I'm thinking these will be more like side charms, and this is for the front, but like, I kind of want to do the pink, not gonna lie. The light blue though would be so pretty too. Oh no, my eye is being drawn to pink, so I think we're gonna do that. You wanna make sure you get elastic cord. It should have some stretch to it. This has quite a fair bit of stretch. I've cut my elastic rope. I need to figure out what charms I'm gonna do at the spine here, which I wanna use these ones because these are very dainty. I think I want the star. Put my pink elastic cord through to the front, and I'm gonna add my star charm. and it goes to the bottom hole and through the bottom, back through from the front. I personally like to do a good old double knot. Come on. This is actually very therapeutic. It's okay for this to be warping because once journals get added, it'll flatten out. So for this center one, I'm gonna try only cutting, what is this, in inches? About 16 inches of ribbon. And here we just want to make like a knot. Like that. The one good thing about this style journal is that it's 8.5, so I have a lot more flexibility with what notebooks can go inside, because before I did not. So let's see. Oh my goodness, it is so pretty. It is so cute. Oh my goodness. I think I want to go even tighter with this, but adorable. So it's been a few days since I made my initial journal, and I am still very much so just so obsessed with it. There are some tweaks I would make to it at this point. One of the main ones is I will be adding, and I'm going to make this tweak fairly soon, is I'm going to add a second hole to the back so that this back thread, or this thread that keeps the journal closed, has a little bit more support, and I think just visually it'll look better too to have one right here. I also feel like this charm at the front is too small for this journal. It needs something a little bit more substantial. So eventually I'll make sure I make that addition, but I think it does the job for now, and honestly kind of gives it a dainty, classy look. I do sense I'm going to be using this trifold as a main journal in 2025, so I'll do a whole setup video of what I'm going to do, but I just put these other journals, these blank journals I have extras of in for now, just to see what could fit in here. This is a moleskin soft skin, and this is just a random notebook. What I think is cool though is that with the trifold, because I've got this extra layer here, I can actually just toss in my Kindle, then put the flap over. And especially when it comes to traveling, I essentially have something that's protecting the front of my Kindle. And even if you did have like a folding book cover kind of case, you could slip it in like a regular journal and be really secure in there. I think that's just so wonderful. It's something that I definitely can't do right now with my Paper Republic. And another fun thing I thought you could do with this journal is I'm gonna take everything out. Instead of using this as a journal, I can use it as a book cover. So I'm just gonna find the center. I'm actually gonna thread it through all 3 strings, line up my spine, wrap around. And now I've got something that can actually protect my hardcovers if I'm ever on the go with them, because like I always feel really uneasy about bringing a hardcover or a paperback with me in like a bag just randomly, because sometimes the cover gets bent or tossed. This protects it. So I do like the fact that this trifold style journal opens up the doors for even more possibilities on how to use a cover beyond just a journal. It's like the small passport size ones I also have said you can use as a passport cover, which I may have to make one for my passport. One design tweak that I would make to the template that I use is I will probably add in the future another inch of fabric to this flap right here, the one that goes over, because when you do have a stacked journal, so pretend these are all notebooks, this flap is just a little too small. Like I want it to come out to right here. So I think another inch and a half will do the job to give it just more flexibility for me not to be limited too much about like what size of journal I put in here. But otherwise, everything about this process was really simple. And I think if you're someone who is patient and is willing to go slow with making like your first one especially, I think it's worth the DIY. Obviously, the journals that you buy from sellers that are charging the higher price tags, like they come with a certain level of expertise that's being put into it. There's a focus on details, presentation, all the things. I'm not gonna say like that those aren't worth it if that's the experience you want. But now that I've created one for myself, I feel like this is such a worthy DIY to do as someone who loves these types of journals and again like has intentions of like wanting to gift them. Like I'm so glad that I invested some time into figuring out what products I needed and just like committing to the bit. I'm obviously not an expertise at leather, and those finer details like are just going to be a little bit more luxurious on the ones that you buy from the popular sellers. And I do think like there's a time and place too for deciding to invest in something like that, especially if you're someone who has no desire to DIY this yourself. But If there is anything in you that feels like this is something you want to do, but you're wondering if it's too difficult for you to do, I think it's a fairly easy DIY for a pretty impressive outcome. I don't think a lot of people would like immediately assume this is DIY. So I'm very pumped to add my DIY trifold to my collection of Paper Republics. These journals are so special to me, and I'm excited to just like refresh them for 2026, because that's the great thing about a traveler style notebook. Something that's so customizable like this is everything can come out from inside and you can start over, but still have like that cover with you and have it like as it ages and patinas and gets marked up, kind of tell a story of its own. As mentioned, all of the products I used and the links to everything are in the description box below for your convenience if you want to try this for yourself. This is gorgeous. I'm so happy. I'm so excited. And honestly, I just like can't wait to make more. I'll see you guys soon with a new one. Until then, bye guys.